This is 3FM.
I've decided to run as a candidate for Douglas East, firstly because it's an area that I have a great deal of affection for, so I spent a lot of my time working and socially around the area, and I think it's a place that's got incredible diversity. Some fantastic areas and resources which are fantastic for people growing up here, but also some that are a bit unloved and unlovely and really need some attention. But of course, it's the gateway to the Isle of Man for a lot of people arriving on the boat. It's also the main artery into our business district for a lot of people coming from out of town, and it's where an awful lot of our businesses and our residents are based. So it needs to be kept in a state that is attractive for visitors, attractive for tourists, but also shows some respect for the people who live there. So in terms of health, there's a very mixed bag. I know many people have had great experiences with primary health care here on the island and have nothing but good things to say. But we also hear that there's a beds crisis, that morale is very low in certain departments, that waiting times are insupportable, that GP surgeries are juggling frantically. And I think we do need to get smarter about the way we do many things. I'm all in favour of more digitisation of services, whether that's prescriptions. I think they talked about letting up bed spaces electronically and the like. What that exactly looks like, we have to find out yet. What I am concerned about, though, is that when things go wrong digitally, they go very wrong. It's a brave person who completely does away with the paper. As a green person, obviously I don't like too much paper around. I'm very much in favour of decarbonisation. But the other thing is that we need to not alienate that chunk of our people who are not and do not want to be and never will be digitally enabled. So when I go around knocking on doors, especially as it happens in East Douglas, I find there are lots of people, particularly young people who have their smartphones, who have access to Wi-Fi, who are online every waking minute almost. But there are lots and lots of people as well who are very remote from that world and will never be joining it. Even if we make facilities free in the library, they're really unlikely to go cruising online. So we need to make sure that we do not exclude them. In terms of the Lord Lisvane report, I think there were some very interesting things within there that need debating absolutely fully. So it needs not to be kicked into the long grass. The key issue for me behind that is the lack of faith that people have in government, whether rightly or wrongly. Sometimes we come across people who are never as happy as when they're grumbling, but there certainly are problems with the way that government is operating or is seen to operate. And so the whole report needs to be fully debated and the public engaged on that issue too. I would like to see the Chief Minister elected by the Keys. I would like to see anybody who intends to put him or herself forward for Chief Minister saying that in their manifesto so that it's absolutely apparent to the people who are voting for that person what their intentions are. In terms of my own personal and life experiences, it's no secret that I spent getting on for 30 years in the finance sector. I learned a great deal, although it's not an area that I'm keen to go back into now. I'm very grateful for what I learnt. But towards the end of that career, I suffered what you could call an alcoholic implosion. I either became or realised that I already was alcoholic. And that meant to recover, I had to take time out from that career. In fact, it was a long and very bumpy road to recovery. And I'm not proud of what that did to my family and the friends who were supporting me. But I am grateful because I learned a huge amount about what it meant to be struggling financially, struggling with depression and addiction, struggling to feed my children, struggling with all sorts of things. I learned that there's good help out there. I learned that there are both judgmental and non-judgmental people. I learned that there's hope. What I in particular learned, I think, was to experience life from both ends of the spectrum, from the very well rewarded, never having to worry about spending money style of life, to one where every penny counted and very often we had to do without things that my little girls would dearly have liked. And that experience was important to me because I cannot help other people if I haven't truly stood in their shoes. So I'm glad to be back on my feet. I will always regret the worry and distress that caused my girls. But I think all three of us have learnt some useful things, including compassion and persistence and hope. And I hope that I can put some of my learning to good use in helping other people who want to get better.
More music for the Isle of Man.
3FM.